Anybody else have any comments on the video we just saw, or no? We'll just try to read fairly fast here, a couple of pages of examples of hybrid war, and where many Americans are finally waking up to the alarming reality of China's stealth war in the United States and puzzling over how to push back against this insidious infiltration. What few realize is that we have one real advantage in this war. The Chinese Communist Party strategy for total war has been written out in the book, Chinese book, Unrestricted Warfare. It came out in, I think, 1999, and it's well known in China and has become their new art of war. But there's an American. It's hard to understand. I tried to read it, but it's hard to understand even the English translation without help because it's like trying to pick up the Koran and just read it through and understand Islam. You need some interpretation. And another book, American book, In World Without War, a book by retired Air Force Brigadier General Dr. Robert Spalding. It takes Americans inside unrestricted warfare, walks through readers through the principles of this book, revealing the Chinese belief that there's no sector of life outside the realm of war. He shows how the CCP itself has promised to use corporate espionage, global pandemics, and trade violations to achieve dominance. And those both those books, there's an English translation and other resources. I don't know if anybody put up those. I guess you can put up those links to those on the webpage somewhere, and in this other book that interprets them. A few of the ways China is attacking us. One result of our previous rulers' abandonment of control, of security control of our borders, is that all of our enemies had plenty of time to send into the U.S. all the spies, saboteurs, and sleeper cells they wanted. When war breaks out with them, these will be activated to cause maximum damage, disruption, terror, and death in our homeland, likely including attacks on our electric grid, water supplies, gas and oil facilities, and possibly biowarfare. Such stratagems have been long discussed in Chinese military literature. Just 25 years ago, Chinese defense minister reportedly advocated exterminating American people by disease and replacing them by Chinese settlers to assure world domination by China and the Communist Party of China. Hereinafter, I just call it the CCP. Recently, two Chinese a student here were caught trying to smuggle into America organisms that could be mutated to cause lethal devastation to our food crops. That's just one example of how they're trying to implement that attack us. Oh, oh. Was that did you want to talk, Tom, or were you just grabbing a body? Okay. Another group in California was caught working in a biowarfare lab and working on potential biowarfare vectors. China will no doubt misuse DeepMind's. Oh, the biggest positive thing I've seen since DeepMind's AlphaFold about protein structures is they now got one out called, this is relevant, bear with me, called Alpha Genome, which can enable researchers to predict the effects throughout the body of a single point mutation anywhere in the genome. And I'm sure that nobody else has said this. I haven't seen anybody else think of this yet, but I tend to think of these things. China will no doubt misuse DeepMind's brilliant genomic research tool, Alpha Genome, to perfect racially specific biowarfare weapons. Keep in mind that it worked out pretty well for us with the Amerindians, and we weren't even didn't even know what we were doing. So a significant percentage of teens get their news from TikTok, a CCP-controlled soft propaganda outlet. Along with soft propaganda, it has clips with millions of views showing kids how to use illegal drugs, and that's another big thing that they're promoting. Is of course you guys must have seen stuff. They're doing mass producing and importing into America with the full knowledge and support of the CCP. Well, the components of fentanyl, they're working with the drug cartels, both in Latin America and now after the open border is now actually within America. China's programmed to give all expense-paid tours of China to Western media influencers that seem willing to return to their to then present media very favorable to China, and the CCP the Chinese refer to such sellouts as white monkeys. Until recently, academic white monkeys were shamelessly taking big Chinese dollars to let them set up propaganda centers on American university campuses called Confucian Institutes. After these were exposed for what they were, universities seem to have been mostly forced to close them. Here's some more examples of just plain old corruption and bribery. Spying. Former prominent Senator Dianne Feinstein of California's driver of 20 years was exposed as a suspected CCP asset based on suspected his provision of political intelligence to them and subsequent FBI investigation. While he wasn't formally charged, probably to avoid embarrassment to Feinstein, the Dem Party, and the FBI, the actions taken, because it took him 20 years to catch this guy, he was just forced to retire, and his public exposure pretty much confirms his guilt. Linda Sun, a former deputy chief of staff to both New York governors Hochul and Cuomo, is facing federal charges, including acting as an unregistered agent of the Chinese government and profiting illegally from pandemic-era contracts. Sun was terminated in 2023. Former Vice President Joe Biden, when he was vice president, he had the gall to even take his crooked and drug addict son, Hunter, along on Air Force Two on a trip to China to act as his bag man to collect so-called investments, in quotes, by Chinese entities in Hunter's, quote, enterprises. Well, Chinese, as bad as they are, you got to give them credit. They're generally very good business people. And the idea that the CCP, influenced enterprises there would make big investments in Hunter Biden. It's just ludicrous. Recently, she lost possibly at least some of his control over the PLA, possibly resulting from a minor stroke. There's a lot of speculation, but it's hard to prove these things. They maintain, of course, pretty tight secrecy on these things. This may delay his planned invasion of Taiwan, but his continuing aggression throughout the region may result in the two sides blundering into a major war that neither side wants now. More evidence is leaking of Xi being challenged within the CCP, probably because of a minor stroke he suffered. His plans to invade Taiwan may be delayed or canceled. Several sources have been offering similar evidence. This is huge because he's pretty much basically totally committed to invading Taiwan by 2027 at the latest. And if someone else takes over, conceivably, they wouldn't lose as much face by either canceling or indefinitely delaying the invasion, which, I sure hope is what happens. Here's a couple of videos, short videos that give some tantalizing information, though nobody really knows for sure what's going on there. Something's going on recently, abnormal. Tom, can you play this next one called China Wants to Decimate This Key American Sector? Can you see that? And it's just the first 2 minutes and 44 seconds. The rest is not really critically relevant.
Somebody has a hand up.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. The idea that China having problems is good for the U.S. is so short-sighted it doesn't meet the 4-year-old test. If they have problems, they can unite their people by attacking somebody.
That's one possibility. Or it could be too disrupted to be able to carry that out effectively. The other possibility
doesn't have to be effective. You tell them that it's being effective, even if you're losing.
Oh.
What country do we see doing that now?
The leaders, it
we
matters
won't
to the
talk
leaders.
about that.
Yeah, the leaders would be, they would have some idea of their readiness. And I think the tendency, well, basically, to be honest, they're winning overall because of the, China's winning in the struggle overalls, and time is on their side. They don't really have to meet any timetable. Well, she does because he's aging, of course, and always under threat there's a lot of others, totally ruthless people there and shrewd that want to replace him. So he's under some time pressure, but overall, China doesn't need to. They've got a 5 to 10 IQ advantage, Northeast Asians over whites already, and they produce, as everybody says, AI, whoever gets to wins the AI race is probably going to win the Cold War. Well, they're still producing about 2.5, 3 times as many STEMs graduates as we are, and they're getting better. A majority now of the papers in the peer-reviewed journals on the topics like that are from China. So I my conclusion is time is on their side. Uh, Well, it depends who's in control, and they probably don't want to start a war during an internal power struggle. But then, because nobody is clearly in charge and coordinating things, it might either side might blunder into a war that neither really wants now and escalate. We've seen how those things escalate. Just read a depressing history like the Guns of August or something about World War I. I think most of the powers didn't really want that or imagine how it would go. Uh, yeah, okay, there's another one then that says Chinese diplomat defects and so on, leaks secrets, Putin enraged. That's very interesting too, because it shows it basically totally confirms that China and Russia, for all their appearances on the mainstream media of eternal friendship and no limits, blah, 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 they both know the other it's totally a marriage of temporary marriage of convenience. And China is the senior partner now. And they both know the other is going to do the other in if they get a chance. So if you want to play that one from starting at 4 minutes to 7:35.
Exactly. Hey friends, Eric here. And in this video, I want to talk to you about how you can retire with just $300,000.
China's biggest exporters are.
Yeah,
We'll start where?
at 4 minutes, but I don't see it up yet.
Well, no, I don't have it up. I'm
Okay.
setting it up.
Okay.
4 minutes. By the way, I had a question.
Oh, sure.
They talked about this general being suicided. Does that mean he was assassinated and it was made to look like a suicide?
I believe so, yes.
Kinda
Like in
what
Russia,
probably happened, kinda like what probably happened with Jeffrey Epstein, huh?
it's controversial. I just what's it? Berkshire, his Epstein's lawyer had a piece in the Wall Street Journal the other day where his 2 cents was he probably did suicide, but he may have been assisted by the guards by mutual agreement of him and the powers that be that didn't want to be embarrassed by his testimony. But I don't really, yeah. But it's an ongoing joke that Putin does this all. He suicides people. They jump out of windows or drink poison tea. Anybody want to say anything about that or?
Yes, I do have a question.
Pretty
What
much
was
taking
the
all
date of that
fridges,
video?
dishwashers, dressers, drawers, couches, mattresses, beds.
Yeah. When was the video created? I'm just curious.
It was
This year, last year?
posted July 16th. This
2025, yeah.
recently. Sometimes the posting is significantly after the actual broadcast. I don't know.
So they're talking about
recent.
the upcoming September meeting. Okay.
Yeah, so it's fairly recent, last month. It must be in the last month or so.
Yeah. Let me throw the question of this. It's predicated on the fact claim that she's had a mini stroke. Has that been reported elsewhere, or because I've not heard it, but then I don't always keep an eye on
I've
China.
noticed several sources talking about this on YouTube, but
Yeah, but beyond YouTube,
not
I mean,
proven. I said several medical authorities diagnose it that way, but it's hard, when you're just watching videos or limited videos or
right.
and so on they've been doing that with Putin. Remember, if you notice, since the beginning, since he invaded Ukraine, they've been speculating that he had this or that cancer or neurological disorder and whatever. But it's just kind of interesting and probably significant. Something's going on there, a little unusual is all we can really say for sure. little, and
I've
then
I've heard that before today. So, but what it means,
stay tuned. Any comments or questions or?
Yeah, I just got here. I've been in a lot of pain. Anyway, I should have fired up in bed. Yeah, who's presenting and what are we presenting? I forget. I tried to go to meet up. They wouldn't let me in.
It's me and prospects of both hybrid and kinetic war with China.
Ah,
It'll all be recorded. I think Stan said it'll.
yeah, I wish that guy could learn to speak English and would speak at a rate that I could actually understand him. But
Like British.
yeah, he's not bad. There are much worse criticizers. Um, well,
Fire
so
at a slower speed.
Tom has his hand up, I believe. I can't see where. Oh,
Yeah.
let me get rid of the recording bar. All right, I'm sorry, Tom. You have your hand up.
Okay, couple things. It was interesting that this guy suggested that Vietnam would be a U.S. ally, not a Chinese ally.
More likely, yeah, because they've had a long history. Oh, I wanted to relate an incident at a science book club. First of all, their book, this Swedish guy who gave a lot of medical aid to North Vietnam in our war with them. He went there to see the hospital, and he well, he was there in what's their capital. He asked to see their memorial to the war with America, and when he did, there was this old about 1 meter square bronze plaque. But then next to it was like a two-story pagoda museum, which was their memorial to their wars with China. So you can guess who, in practical terms, Vietnam fears more.
Yeah, well, they all hate China. Korea, Vietnam, they all hate China. Japan.
Another comment I had was he kind of confirmed that Pete Hegseth is probably our second highest security risk in the United States because his statements were not doing nothing but encouraging China. It sounded like saying we would lose all the war games and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for internal.
Why would he say that? I mean,
I'm not sure to scare us.
I had
Appropriating more money, probably. They did that all through the Cold War. Remember, if you were old enough, all through the Cold War from the early 60s on, they kept talking about how Russia was overtaking us in missiles and bombers and how much more they had of everything.
And little did we know, we could have wiped them out in 20 seconds then, or 15, 20 minutes then.
Actually, we probably already knew, but we didn't act on it. I mean, I was in the ASA. I had a top high security clearance, and I got in shortly after the Soviet invasion of Czechoslovakia. We knew that they were going to do it before they did it, but we did nothing about it. So,
well, a lot of people make a lot of money from small wars and Cold Wars.
I doubt
There you go.
that's a financial thing, but
Follow
anyway,
the money.
yeah, I'm concerned about how the current administration treats security and communications.
Well, the previous one, so, I can't even.
I'm
The border.
I'm concerned about every administration since Harry Truman. I mean, including Harry Truman. I mean, we could have taken care of the China problem in after World War II.
Exactly. I don't understand.
We did not have the stomach for it. Big, big, big mistake.
When the Chinese came in,
we have ever made in our lives.
I totally agree. I'm with Truman. MacArthur, and the Chinese invaded them.
They were I hated MacArthur. In hindsight, he was 100% right. And so was Patton a bit about Russia. But Russia turned out to be but it was doable, but it was not doable. We had just given our everything to save the fucking free world. Excuse my French.
Well, let's get back on the current.
All right. So back on topic. Let me finish my thought. So China. I listen to I watch news maybe once a week on Friday, the PBS NewsHour. So there is and I'll find it. There is an Australian think tank that's been around for a while, right? And so they got no skin in the game, Australia is kind of, anyway, so 20 years ago when they started this particular measurement, they identified 64 technologies that were important strategically, economically, et cetera, et cetera. 64. At that time, the U.S. was leading in like 61 of them 20 years ago. Today, China is leading in 57 of them. There you go. And the whole impetus for this was that the whole news cycle for the last 2 weeks has been Donald Trump and Epstein. Who the hell cares?
Right.
That, Epstein ain't on the news in China. I'll guarantee you. What's on the news is the fact that they are taking over the world inch by inch, bit by bit. All right.
It's some rich and powerful people that might be embarrassed by Epstein. It was almost surely an intel operation. But where did he get this huge amount of money? When Polymath's Eric Weinstein talked to him once, and he said he didn't even understand some basics of currency trading. So where did this guy do?
I don't know. There's a lot of there, but who really cares in the end? It's just a bunch of billionaires jacking off. So
yeah, but that's all.
The part of all this is the tale of the Trump administration and the Defense Department in particular by the North American media. The military's opinion of the Department of Defense appears to be very different than that presented by the press.
Same with the West European media. Near London Times Radio, they attack Trump every day. Until recently.
Yeah. I try very hard not to watch much of American media, but that I do, I see, are you talking about, they don't seem to, unless it's some disaster where they can actually be constrained to talking about the disaster, and even then it rapidly wanders off into politics. It's just...
Well, as Joe Rogan pointed out, you look at the mainstream media, they come out on the same day with all using the same unusual words and phrasing about a story. They're just getting their talking points from the Democratic Party. It's so obvious to an objective observer, I don't know, able to perceive beyond what they're told.
Well, we have about 5 minutes left, but I don't think we have time for another video.
No, that's all I had for now. But there's a whole slew of other resources, a couple dozen. I don't know if you can, if you guys can post, Dave, maybe post them somewhere. And also, I highly recommend his little book here, Plan Red. It's only 90 pages, but I really dense. It's Chang's book. And he has at the end like 145 further references if you want, both written and online, to delve deeper into the thing.
I posted the rest of your references as comments on today's meetup. So those are available for people who want to look further into the stuff that Eric had sorted through.
There's just endless more.
Okay, I want to mention a couple things regarding Futurists. We have an election coming up. Every 2 years, we have to re-elect the officers of our group. There's a limitation on terms for president and vice president, so I cannot run for president again. We had a meeting of the of the officers just a few days ago, and we came up with a list of candidates, but not for president. No one wanted to jump into that. So we're looking for nominations for president. Now, the thing is, we're planning to hold the election next week at our hybrid meeting, the Zoom one and the in-person at the library. And David can give you a little more details about that. But at that point, or even before, we can take nominations for the various offices. We have president, vice president, secretary, treasurer. Currently, our current slate is David for treasurer, me for secretary. For vice president, it was, I think it was at UH, Tom, wasn't it?
Please.
And we have still a vacancy for president. So that's our current slate, but we're willing to take more nominations and put them on the ballot. And the other thing is, you can vote if you're a current member of the Minnesota Futurists, and being a member means paying a $30 yearly dues.
And I've been trying for a year to give somebody $30, but I haven't been able to do that yet.
Well,
I'll send it to
Tom. David is our treasurer.
Yeah, all I need is an iPhone and it's done. I could do it before we even finish. I finished this sentence. But I just need a
David. Do we have the capability yet for electronic transfers? I'm not
like
sure.
a Zelle account or something like that.
No, we haven't done that.
All right. Well, I'll just send it, and somebody will take $30 and put it in a little coffee can or whatever you guys do.
Yeah, we have a bank account. We do have a bank account.
You do have a bank account. I'm being facetious. Yeah.
The problem with Zelle accounts is that if somebody makes a mistake, you can't get it back.
Yeah. Some of these services are not real secure.
David, how many members are there right now?
3.
3?
Well, actually, there's more than 3 because you're probably not counting Bob.
That was the last year. We had 9.
Wow, that's sad.
Oh.
That ain't a lot of money.
Nope.
Oh.
Right, and we do have expenses for the meetup and
I call it cheap entertainment. Yeah.
Huh.
Cheaper than Netflix, although I've been getting some good stuff on Netflix. All
David,
right.
David, do you send out any reminders to people?
I have not up till now.
Yeah, I mean that would be good. I think if we do. I mean, I thought I sent a check and it never got to Carol. It never got to the gentleman that was the head of it before, and it's just. So is it just directly to you?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you want to send a check, mail it to David.
I'll try to give him one at the library next week. Hey, I got a suggestion. If it's you guys, I'm satisfied with the job you guys are doing now. If you have a 2-term limit or something, hey, there's only a half a dozen paid voting members. We could just change the rules. Look, if Putin and Xi could both get around the 2-term limit, so can we. I'm willing to go along with that.
Exactly.
Well, we do have bylaws that we have to follow at this point.
Well, yeah, but I'm
bylaws,
going to send Stan $30 as soon as we're done here, and then I'll say, okay, Stan. Money talks, just like politics, right? So people that have the money vote and everybody else go away.
Can't we just change the rules on the 2-term limit?
Well,
we can, but we're not going to be doing it in the next week.
No, but Donald Trump is talking about it. I wanted to mention something that was kind of more on point. I don't know whether it's Eric or H-Tom said, well, everything on the, quote, mainstream media, which is what Joe Grogan defines as everything that's not him, is all talking points to the Democratic Party. So would you rather have a media more like Fox, etc., and News Nation that was all just talking points for the Republican Party? I would not. I want neither or both or a blend or something, you know. And it's why I like public radio and public television. They at least attempt PBS TV more than NPR News, but NPR News, you know, remember, they're not unfair and unbalanced because they don't invite the right wing on. The right wing won't show up on there. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. They desperately, every single news thing that's, quote, slanted to the left, they'll say, well, we invited spokespeople from this and this and this and this and this, and they all said, F you. We ain't going on your commie station. Well, all right then.
CBS got rid of Late Show and Stephen Colbert.
My God. Well, there's a lot to that. One of the things is Paramount took over, and they're tightwads, and they were going to squeeze. They bought CBS, Paramount, and that show has more than 200 employees. It is a very expensive show, and it probably is not making money. They can sell curling irons or something at that time slot and make more money. Yeah, it's a very expensive show, and it's probably done its run. You know, Johnny Carson stayed on probably too long. You know, Colbert is his given name, probably been on too long.
They're eliminating his show entirely.
Yeah, no, they're not replacing him. It wasn't about him, although he has talked bad about Paramount. But you know, he said, you know, ever since Paramount bought CBS, it's kind of the beginning of the end for CBS, I think. But yeah, no, it's just that the whole late night format thingy is just, it's just, you know, but Colbert will land on his feet. I mean, he's, you know, don't worry about Stephen Colbert.
David, can you put your address in the chat?
Yes.
I just did.
Oh, really? I don't see it.
Hasn't appeared yet.
This is
Eric. The thing
this is
about
Eric from Colorado. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, it just went to Tom.
The thing about appearing on national broadcasting is that national broadcasting now isn't live.
Mine is.
No.
I watch over the air. I have an antenna, a 40-foot World War II surplus or Korean War surplus antenna.
I understand. Yes. I understand that.
I also have technology.
And I understand that. And I understand, having been a, quote, news professional.
Right. I know you know the business.
That appearing on a biased, what you consider to be a biased presentation is exceedingly dangerous, because what you say may not be what gets to be on the air.
Right.
Well,
a lot of editing.
Maybe not. Do you watch mainstream media? I doubt it.
I try very hard to avoid
Meet the Press and Face the Nation have Republicans on every single week after week after week after week. And they're not afraid. I don't know why you're afraid, but they're not afraid.
Because I learned how to mix the stew in the 60s, and I can see it going on now.
No, what you see on Joe Grogan et al. Are the cuts. When you watch Meet the Press, the whole hour, or the 2.5 hours of Face the Nation, it is what it is. If you don't believe the problem is in your brain.
I'll have to give them a try.
Yes, I record them I haven't watched lately because I just can't stand the news cycle anymore. But I record both of them every single week. I've watched them since they've been on TV. And that is the mainstream media, that if we don't have it, as in the mainstream press, because the TV is now the press for the most part. If we don't have it, then we don't have a country. We might as well just learn Mandarin and move to China.
David, can you give details about next week's meeting?
It's at the Oxborough Library in
Bloomington.
Bloomington. That should be posted on Meetup. I thought it was posted, and when I looked for it, I didn't find it, but I reposted it this morning.
And I'm having trouble getting into Meetup. I can't get in anymore. Is there some password now or something that I need?
No.
All right, I'll try it again.
I had the same problem this morning.
Yep, they wouldn't let me in. They upgraded.
Really?
Yeah. I'm still able to get it. This is Eric from Colorado. I'm still able to get in with Meetup, and I tried to send $30 through Meetup, and you said you couldn't take it. Is there another way you want to?
He wants Pony Express. Write a check, strap it onto a horse, and he wants Pony Express. God, I love you, David. David, I love you, brother. I do.
Yeah, currently it's USPS.
Yep.
Okay.
Before we end,
just continue to watch here from Colorado. Then I like hearing the conversation in the video.
Oh, before we end, I just want to thank. Sorry. Before we end, I just want to take a second to thank Tom Walsh for literally saving our day, technically making it work.
Did I miss something? I'm glad.
Yeah, David. Well, Stan Bissinger told me yesterday he wasn't going to be here. He usually plays the videos and makes it.
Oh, that's right.
He just told me he was going to Iowa for the day and good luck. And then he thought David or Tom could do it. And David and I tried last night and we couldn't get the audio.
Always bet on the particle physicist. By the way, I was watching Jeopardy last night, and a really, really sharp particle physicist from Canada. I was up against an engineer. I think he's a mechanical engineer from New Jersey. And man, it was close for a while, but guess who won in the end? The engineer beat the particle physicist, whatever that means.
The engineer knows more practical knowledge.
He does, yep.
Anyway, thank you, Eric. Interesting presentation.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
The library is at 8801 Portland Avenue if you want to go there in person.
Yeah.
There's a couple more ongoing series I find this non-mainstream series that I find especially interesting about China. One's called China, which is at resources. China Uncensored. You can just put that in there and find the main page, and they have ongoing thing. It's very cynical humor, negative, very anti-CCP, but I think it's really a lot of stuff you won't see on the mainstream media and commentary in the news. And another one just about life in China, that it's all stuff that you also won't see on the mainstream media. On the mainstream, all you see is like a few glimpses of the shiny eastern cities with everything super modern, and there's a huge, vast more to China. The China Show by two Western photojournalists that really love.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, and they moved there, and they have families in China, and they lived there, rode all over on motorcycles.
All we see is the pretty shiny face of China.
Yeah, there's a huge amount going on that we never see on mainstream media, and they show it about every week. Or it's called the China Show, and they well know they speak fluent Mandarin. They have Chinese families, and they had now I had to move out, but they still got a lot of contacts there.
Right. And did you post a link to that?
Yeah, that's in the other resources, other sources that
on Meetup. All right, I'll get into Meetup eventually.
Those two I think are
software, I guess, but
they're ongoing and very interesting. The China Show and China Uncensored. There's another one called the China Observer. It's also sort of ongoing.
Yeah.
Okay, David, next week you're presenting, is that correct?
Yeah, I was actually thinking it would be, if we get to it, some about made in America and manufacturing in America. And basically, the short story is we can't compete with China on price. China undercuts us on price by a factor of 3.
Yeah, I saw recently an analyst said we could not produce an Apple. I mean, could not produce the best latest iPhone in America for less than $3,000 each.
Bullshit.
Well, if you
I don't know if they're allowing for
one,
advances in automation, robotics, and AI.
That's nonsense. I'm sorry.
Dean, if you don't have to follow EPA regulations or safety regulations, China has stopped taking trash. You
Yes.
can no longer send
I
plastic
understand
to
that.
China.
And we should have, and it was talked about before we started sold our economic souls to China and
Yep.
Mexico. And I'm 11 miles from the maquiladoras. I was at the heart of NAFTA, lived it every day. And the idea is we're going to make it a level playing field, as in they're going to either have to do the same labor standards, health, safety, yada, yada, or we will charge them a tariff if they don't do that. And therefore, it has been a level playing field. That was all words on papers in Sacramento and Washington, D.C.
Right.
Had nothing to do with reality, because reality is the importers who are going to make the big bucks, and they write the laws.
David,
and the laws that we write are irrelevant.
Japanese table tennis balls are still better than Chinese table tennis balls.
Okay.
I wouldn't buy a ping pong ball from China, in spite of what Nixon said.
On that note, I got low.
If you would buy a 1-inch /20 stainless steel bolt made in America, it costs you 40 cents. If you buy a 1-inch /20 stainless steel bolt made in China, it costs you 11 cents.
But how good is it?
And I would buy the 40-cent one every day, all day, every day, if it was important to me.
I love black shiitake mushrooms, but I won't buy them from China after the research I've done. I pay about 3 times more to get Japanese ones.
Yep. Well,
I gotta go.
At any rate, we can talk about that next week.
No, hardware is an interesting thing, because I've had some very, very good hardware from China, and I've had some stuff that I could break off with a nut driver.
Yeah, these glass frames are from China.
The titanium junk, yeah.
Yeah, that's what these are, titanium, these frames, and they can make good stuff. They just don't unless you.
So please don't tell me please don't tell me the Ray-Bans I just bought at Costco are made in China. Maybe they are. I choose to think they weren't.
Mexico.
I think Mexico. I don't believe they were made in China.
They just relabel it now.
I will try and convert the recording once we've stopped here.
I just want to try to get in to meet up. That'll be my project while I'm watching the British Open, as we used to call it, the Open.
I had a battle with it too. I
don't know what was going on. I'll try it on my phone. I tried it on my laptop, and sign up, join, give us money, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Anyway,
will the meeting at the library next week be hybrid?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And you guys raised the bar pretty high on the first hybrid. We expected to be close to that bar, right? Us remote people.
Man, we'll try, but I'm afraid if there's lots more technical difficulties, we can still be trying to work our way through.
I understand that.